welcome to this week's video. Bit of an impromptu one. So I've got a dressage lesson today. I mean, if this is really annoying, I apologise, that I'm trying to get the baby to sleep. But I've got a dressage lesson in half an hour. So we're trying to get him to go to sleep for that. And one of the lovely girls from the yard, the wonderful Jade, who does actually also have her own YouTube channel, Loose Cannon Jack, go check her out. She's going to film my dressage lesson for me today, which is really cool because it means I can put that out as a vlog for you all. Like I was saying the other day, so you put things out into the universe, it gives them your back. So yeah, that's the plan. But we just want to fall asleep first. So yes, I think we're just about there now, which is fantastic. But I'm going to go and get Rebel in and get him all ready, get all this stuff ready, and then yeah, the wonderful Nick. We have our lessons with Nick Creaton. I have had lessons with Nick since I was 13, so 20 years. I'm 33 now. The dog's been very annoying. We're having haylage delivered. Big, massive tractor delivering all of our lovely haylage. But Milo is on guard dog duty. Aren't you? Guard dog duty. Pain. We're nearly there. I think we might just about be there. He's asleep. Success. Yeah, I'm going to get Rebby in and get him all ready. What shall I tell you? What can I tell you about? I'm not really prepared for this video because I wasn't intending to do anything today. What should I say? Let's have a chat about Nick and his way of teaching. So he is what I would call a classic dressage trainer, not modern dressage. So it's all about more about building than the end result, if that makes sense. So it's trying to use the sort of natural biomechanics of the horse and riding with softness and being really quiet and basically giving the horse building blocks to then get there eventually. We're not rushing anything, and using a lot of the classic dressage exercises quite early on to build strength. So like Rebel's been learning the basics of piaffe and passage since he was 4 and 5, because we're not doing piaffe and passage, but what we're doing is using the basics of those exercises to strengthen, and like I'm not asking, we're doing like, I don't even know, in the whole session we'll probably do 30 seconds worth of it, because we do very small amounts of it to build strength, so not like going full out and asking for a full-on piaffe passage. And the same with the medium stuff. It's not like I'm going like, right, I expect medium trot. It's really building it up and teaching him to be off the aids, but from a light aid, not a forced aid. I'm not explaining this very well. I do hope you can hear me. It's a bit windy. Yeah, I'm not explaining it very well, but basically everything that you teach is sort of building on the horse's natural strength and their ability, and I'm never going to be forcing him to do something or asking for something of a quality that he can't give me yet. And the more you slowly build and use these exercises, when you do eventually get there, it's just exactly how you need it to be, and he's listening and they're on the right aids, which aren't, again, they're not a forced aid. We're not teaching anything out of pressure or force. It's all about teaching in a soft way with the right aid and using your body to ride rather than your hands. Obviously your hands and legs come into it, but it's more about your body weight, the swing of your body's natural momentum, controlling them with your body. So what I'll probably do is do a bit of a voiceover of whatever Jade manages to film, and basically talk you through what we're doing as we're doing it. You won't be able to hear much because we haven't got any mics, so you probably won't be able to hear much of what Nick's saying, but I'll be able to tell you what he is saying and explain it all, hopefully. Do you want to just preempt this by saying he was very fresh yesterday to lunch, very, very fresh. So he might be a little fresh today. It's lovely weather, it's glorious sunshine, but it is nippy. So we'll see how we go, how fresh we are feeling. He is also due a clip. Very fluffy now. Look at the fuzz. Some serious fluff needing to come off. Yes, there is. You're a fluffy beast. Okay, so this is my warm-up for our dressage lesson. You see the wonderful Nick there on the right-hand side. So we always start off with our warm-up with doing some stretching and circling work to try and get him supple over his back and stretching over each side. So you see me here doing some small circles with his neck stretching out, encouraging him to take the rein down. And you see him take it ever so slightly further down as we go through the work. It's basically several small figures of 8, with encouraging him to go as low as he will happily take the contact down, and also stepping under laterally at the same time as we're doing the little figures of 8 in walk. We'll quite often move this on and do this in trot as well, on slightly bigger circles. But today we move on from doing the figures of 8 to doing some turns on the forehand, which you'll see in a second. But it's such a really great way of a low impact warm-up that gets them stretching both laterally, stepping under and across the body, and also stretching down and stretching across the top line as well. And we do this for quite a while, just changing the bend, flexing the other way, stretching, stepping under, just really moving him around. So we now move on to some turns on the forehand. Again, ideally I would like him to be stretching even lower in his frame than he is now, and also with not exaggerated flexion, but really with a lot of bend through his body to really stretch the outside of him. And then what I'm looking for is for him to be stepping under, across the midline or onto the midline of his body. So he's basically stepping a small circle with his front feet and then a wider circle with his back feet, and crossing under with that inside hind leg, as you can see him doing here. And he's got himself in a nice, lovely horizontal frame with his head and neck. Don't want him any more up than that. And if he will drop down even lower and take the rein even further down and out being the important thing to note, not down and in. He must be down and out. And yeah, we do this on both reins, and it's so low impact you can spin around on this small circle for quite a while. It's not putting any stress on his joints, and it's a really good way to warm him up, like I said, both longitudinally and laterally. It stretches all along the outside of his body. So we move on now to some lateral work on the circle as well. This is all still part of our warm-up. Lateral work is so important in all aspects of your flat work, whether it just be in your warm-up or whether you focus on it in the session or whatever. But here you can see I'm doing some travert on the circle, and then I'm bringing the shoulders round, and we're moving on to doing some shoulder in on the circle. Again, keeping him nice and soft and stretchy in his frame. I don't want him up yet, this is still a warm-up. But you can see him stepping under and crossing behind there in the shoulder in. And then again here we move into travert, so I move the shoulders out. And then we're stepping through the other way, but keeping, obviously it's the same flexion when you move from shoulder into travert. And again, this is all totally low impact, like I said. And then we're going to move on now using the travert sort of feeling into a pirouette in walk, but again keeping in nice and stretchy. We're not asking him to be in an up frame. Moving all the way around. Very good boy. Good. And this is again just working on getting control of the shoulder, and having him really listening to what we're asking, and learning to move his body around with zero pressure and with the sort of the lightest aids. And it's that sort of swinging of the shoulder feeling that we're aiming for here. So we're keeping the back legs stepping, and then we're swinging the shoulders around the quarters. Good. And it's about moving the shoulder more than anything else. And obviously we want to stabilise the back end, and we want to keep him from swinging his quarters out. And then we move on to doing exactly the same on the other rein. It's important to do things on each rein to make sure that they are
evenly warmed up. So again, here we're doing the shoulder in on the circle, keeping him nice and soft still. We're not asking for position in terms of his head and neck, we're just asking him to be a little bit softer. And then we move into the travers on the circle. See the quarters in. So travers is when the quarters are in on the line you're walking on. So the shoulders are maintaining the line and the quarters are in. And the shoulder in is the opposite. So the quarters are following the line and the shoulders are in. So we're just playing with that, with the shoulder into the travers. Back into the travers again. And we'll do more of one-on-one rein depending on what he's finding easier or struggling with. So here we're back into the travers and then a pirouette again. And you can see he finds this way much harder. He doesn't find flexing to the right as easy. And obviously in a pirouette to the right, he's got to have that flexion around the inside leg. So we're moving on to some stretchy work in the trot. So again, we're keeping the head and neck nice and long and low, and we're doing a little bit of leg yield feel out onto the track and then into shoulder in. And again, this is all just part of our warm-up, just trying to get him to be super flexible and soft and supple. You see I'm doing it in sitting trot, and that's mostly just so I've got control of his speed rather than him getting too onward. I really want him to stay nice and slow and low impact. We change the pace up a bit here and go a little bit bigger. And then we just keep working on that. We're just turning early, doing a little bit of leg yield feel towards the track and then into shoulder in. So you see here me guiding the shoulders over. It's more of a shoulder yield than a leg yield, to be honest, because we've got excessive flexion, again, to really stretch that outside of him. Good boy, very nice, good position. And again, we're asking for a bit more neck flexion than usual. So if you see me lifting my inside hand, that's to create a little bit more flexion, to just have him really stretching and working a little bit more through his thoracic sling and neck. So you see me there lifting that inside hand to just encourage a bit of flexion through the pole and through his neck. Now we're at that sort of stage of the warm-up where I'm starting to ask for a little bit more, and you just see his frame just starting to come up into a bit more self-carriage. And that's not through force or pressure, that's literally just through encouraging him to work correctly through his body. So again, you see here we go for that little bit of shoulder yield or leg yield with a bit of excess flexion into the shoulder in, and again lifting the inside hand. The bit has to come into the corners of the mouth. That's the important thing. That's the way that you gain that sort of the correct lift, because that's what the action that the bit should have. It shouldn't be across the tongue or the bars. It should be in the corner of the mouth to encourage that lightness without force, you know. So again, here you see inside track, bit of a leg yield feel out. Good, and we went for less flexion this time, if I remember rightly. Yeah, I'm not asking for quite as much, but the position of the shoulder in is really good. And yeah, it has a big difference on his frame in general when we do that sort of work. So we're here again, using a bit more of the sort of leg yield feel. So you'll see as I'm coming towards the camera, I'm doing a couple of steps of just moving his shoulders over for literally 2 strides and then moving on again. Just working on having control of the shoulders. So here you see me go over 1, 2, and then continuing round on the circle to really put him into that outside rein. But you can see already the difference between his frame now and his frame in the earlier warm-up section of our lesson. And that's the frame we're after. We're not after a forced round frame, we're after a natural lift. And then we head into the canter, so we use that slight leg yield, couple of strides of moving him out onto the outside shoulder to ask for the canter transition. And again, it's important to be asking for that canter transition at the right moment, so when his outside shoulder is back is when we want to ask for the canter. So we're just having a warm-up in the canter now. We're just cantering large, letting him just get into the canter rhythm and just, warm up in the canter. So part of our canter warm-up is a little bit of counter canter. So we've done a nice long around the arena in canter, and then we've come across the diagonal and we're maintaining left lead canter, and we're doing a bit of counter canter. Now in the counter canter here, you can see we're asking for a little bit of inside flexion, not too much flexion to the outside, because that really tests his balance. And again, it's just a really useful way to warm up the canter, doing some counter canter. So it doesn't all go perfect. So you saw there, he was finding the counter canter a little bit hard, so broke, and was then not very happy about me asking him to stay in the counter canter. But that's the whole part of these sort of sessions. We were wanting to do a counter canter to walk transition, but he preempted me and broke into the trot, so we had to re-establish the counter canter and then try again. Now his canter walk canters are still a bit of a work in progress, because he's got such a powerful back end that controlling it and having control of the canter has been something we've really been working on recently. So you can see as there, we've just been working on, and again here on the other rein, doing some travers in the walk and asking for the canter from the travers. Very good boy. And then immediately doing a couple of strides and back into the walk again. It's more about the transition. It's super useful, this transition. And we don't need him to be doing a ton of canter. It's more just the transition we're looking for. And you can see him really starting to understand that he's got to push from behind, and start the transitions from behind, and really lift in the canter and have ultimate control over his body. Good boy. And he finds this really hard, which is why we do little of it and then big breaks and pats, and you'll see him gradually start to get it more and more. He's also, Rebel hates when you change things too much, so this kind of thing for him used to be really difficult for me to do, because he would just get very frustrated about the fact that we're constantly asking for transitions. But that's what, he's got to learn to accept that, and he's got to get better at it, and he definitely has done. And you can see that we're getting a lot more elevation and jump in his strides, so much so that he actually wants to give me a bit of piaffe in the trot rather than give me the counter transition. But he's just getting a little bit frustrated with me here. So we just have to keep saying, no, calm down, it's okay, travers. Oh, very good. You see how powerful and up that counter transition was. And you'll see in a minute, we'll do a couple more. And then we'll let him have a little canter round just to, calm his brain down a bit, and just, what's the word that Nick says? Just to just chill and to not stress, and to, I can't think of the word he says now. But you see here, he's just getting a little bit like, I don't know, I can't do it, I'm just finding it really hard, I just want to canter. So it's just no force, just saying, no, you can't just run off, you've got to listen, come on, just want a couple of nice ones. And then we'll finish. So here, look, we've got, I think, a couple of nice ones. Good boy. We do a little rein back. Very good. Lovely transition. Good boy. And then you see me here, look, giving him the rein, letting the rein out, moving him on, moving him round, and letting him stretch. Very good boy. It's just disengaging his brain for a minute after he's done something really hard, and just saying, okay, well done, good boy. We're working on it. It's something to keep improving. And now you can just decompress, have a little stretch, think about what we've just learned, and then we'll move on to the next thing we're going to do. So we finish off this lovely stretchy canter with a walk transition. So you see me spiraling in on my circle, lifting my chest, sitting deep into the saddle, and really trying to get that walk transition to come nice and soft. Oh, good boy, well done. And try as much as possible not to touch the reins in that downwards transition. So here we're doing a little bit of rein back, and I think we're going to do a rein back to canter if I'm right. Very good boy. And we're just working on moving his weight back in the canter, really trying to get him to start to sit a bit more in the canter. You can see already the canter that we've got is really nice and collected, and he's really listening to my body, and he's starting to really sit and lift. Good boy, nice. So again, that was a little bit abrupt and he went a little bit hollow, but I don't want him to be perfectly round just now. I want to have control of his body, and I want him to be listening to my body and what I'm asking him to do with my body. And big stretches there, loads of big stretches. Obviously you don't see them all in this because Jade wasn't filming all of the cool down parts and all the stretches in between, but we do so many breaks and stretches in between all of this work because it is hard on his brain as much as it is on his body. But he didn't even break a sweat this entire session. This sort of work is not massively taxing on their body. It's poo break. We're about to do another rein back here, so I had to move on a little bit and re-establish my halt and rein back. But yeah, you can do, because we're mostly focusing on the transitions here, we're not cantering around for hours, we're not doing tons of really intense fast work, so it's really useful. It's like going to the gym and doing lots of stretching, and it's not like a cardio session, it's like a weight session. Does that make sense? So here we go again, and they're getting so much better, these downwards transitions, you can see. And it's because we've got control of the canter, and we've actually got more sit and lift in the canter now. So we're now using the travers in the walk on the circle, whereas we were doing the travers on the straight lines before, to work on the same sort of thing. So going for travers on the circle, into canter, and then back to walk. And then I think we re-establish the travers. Yep, here we go, bum in. Re-establishing the travers, growing tall, sitting deep. And you can't see a lot of the stuff I'm doing, obviously. That's the whole point. It's supposed to be seamless and subtle. But I'm doing a lot with my body here, where I'm really sitting and lifting and growing tall in the transitions up. You see me lift my chest here, sit deep, and really say right up and canter. And then the same in the downwards transitions. It's really growing tall, bracing my back, but keeping my leg on. And trying to control him down into the downward transitions through my body. Good boy, very good. But again, look, I'm not forcing him to be round. I'm not asking him to be in any sort of real shape or frame, because that's not the important bit at this stage. It's about getting his body to do the right thing, and then the softness will come later. And I'm starting to ask for it in a few places where I would like him to just have a little bit more acceptance of the contact. So you might see me just brace my back a little bit and just feel the contact and say, come on, I would like you to be a little bit politer than that, please. But we're doing the same thing here. We've got the travers and then into canter, and then back to walk. And then we just keep doing these transitions. See, very good travers there, quarters in, very nice. Good boy, travelling around the circle. And the aim of the travers to canter is to really get him using the hind legs to initiate the canter transition. You see here, I'm using the outside rein a little bit to say, no, come on, I do want you to be a bit softer over your back. So here we're doing, actually, yeah, I forgot about this, a little semi-pirouette feel into the canter. So I'm doing that sort of swinging the shoulders around to ask for the transition. And he actually got it really nicely that time. But I do, if I remember rightly, obviously I'm voiceovering this a few days after the lesson, he got a little bit confused by this. So we don't do a ton of it, but it's something, again, that I can work on. So here we go, travers. And then I start to swing the shoulders around and ask for the transition. But yeah, you see here, he just gets a little bit confused about what I'm asking. He's like, I don't really understand what it is you want. So we don't do too much more of this again. I think we wait till we get a nice one, or, an adequate one. And then we move on to do something else. Yes, you see here, look, I'm saying no. Okay, stretch in the canter, move on, go forwards. Well done. You just need to just disengage for a minute and decompress and just have a little chill. Because it's mentally taxing, this kind of work, more so than it is physically, like I said. Good boy. He says, oh, that was confusing, mother. And again, like I said, he hates it when I do loads and loads of transitions, but he needs to do them. So we have another little go of the travers in the walk here. Oh, and much better. So you see, you give him a minute, you just let him have a stretch in the canter, and then, you know, he gets it so much better. And then again, I think we just go for a little bit more of a move on in the canter, just to say, okay, come on then, let's just go large. Good boy. Here we go. We're doing some half pass. So Rebel hasn't done much canter half pass at all. It's all very much a work in progress for him. So yes, I forgot we'd done this. So we're moving on here. So we moved from doing the travers into doing some half pass work. So you'll see here we come down the long side with a hint of shoulder in, and then we move across in a half pass feel. Now it's not a polished finished half pass at all, but it's just giving him the general idea of what I'm expecting from a half pass. Now we've got the canter nicely up in its lift and its cadence. We're able to work on some things like this, which is great. And eventually I'll be able to ask for more jump across in the canter half pass as well. Common misconception about canter half pass is you shouldn't. Their legs don't cross in canter half pass. If they did, they would fall over. That was a much better canter walk transition. So yeah, only in the walk and trot half pass will you see any sort of crossing. In the canter half pass, there is no crossing. So yeah, some people get confused about that. So now we're working on a little bit of, I think we're going to do some elevated work and collection in the trot. Oh no, I lie. Got that completely wrong. We're doing some rein back to canter on the right rein. And then that's it. We go into some half pass this way as well. Honestly, it wasn't that long ago, Lauren. Come on. Brain engage. So here we go. A bit of shoulder in and then into some canter half pass. Very good boy. They're definitely getting there. And like I say, I'm not expecting them to be brilliant because he's still very much learning them. But he's really listening to my body weight in the canter half passes. We actually only do that one once, I think, because it was so good. Do we do it once or do we do it one more time? I can't remember. But yeah, it was so good that we went, that was great. That was plenty of all we expect from him at this stage. And then again, letting him stretch. We haven't shown you much of this, but we do this between every different bit we do some stretching. And again, getting him to take the rein down and out, not in with the nose, out with the nose, stretching all of those lovely muscles across his back. And you can see the S swing in his tail as he trots along. That's so important to see because that means he is soft over his back and loose in his stride. So now we are moving on to the collection work in the trot. So we start off by asking for something like a counted walk. So now a counted walk is where the horse walks on diagonal pairs, so they match up the diagonal pairs. So you see here he's not quite diagonalising, he's going 1, 2, 1, 2. When they diagonalise, they step 1, 1, 1, if that makes sense. And that's the counted walk, but we're asking for an almost counted walk. And the counted walk is so important for control of the body and strength over their back. And it's the basis of all of the collection and elevation work like piaffe and passage. So here you see he's just almost starting to diagonalise in the walk step. And then I start to just ask for a little bit more activity into what we call a soft passage type trot. So it's good boy, well done. He's getting there. You see him figuring it out. Very good. So it's where he's got a little bit more period of suspension through the trot work, but it's not a piaffe or a passage, obviously, but it's almost there. So we call it a soft passage. And again, I'm not asking him to be soft and round in the contact, because that will prevent him from being able to use his neck back properly. the rein back again just shifts his weight back a little bit before I ask. Obviously, I don't want his head in the air and hollow, so I do brace my back to say, no, come on, I don't want hollow, but I don't want him to be round at this point. I want him to be coming soft naturally rather than me forcing it, because that will just ruin any sort of elevation and lift and, you know, suspension and cadence that we're trying to create. But you can see the trot step here is much slower and more controlled. Good boy, it's getting there. And the frustrating thing with this sort of work is, as soon as it starts to feel really good, like here, look how good that is, really elevated. Oh, rebel boy, very good boy. You have to stop because if you do it too much, you'll ruin it. So it's literally just getting a few steps of what you want and really him feeling like he's getting the rhythm, he's getting the feeling and the control and the lift. And then stopping and saying, well done, good boy, that's enough. Because you will boil their brains and their body if you do too much of this work. So like I said earlier, before we started the lesson, we don't do a whole lot of this stuff. It looks like we do because I don't show you the bits in between, but this is literally a small segment of what we do. Oh, good boy, look at him, he's really starting to get it now. So again, we finish. We do a bit and then we finish because it was really good, and then we might pick it back up again like we are here. But look, I'm not forcing him around, my contact is super light, but he's starting to come soft because of the work that we're doing. So again, we do a little rein back to shift his weight backwards, and then we move on into the trot. I go, no, don't hollow, but don't, that's it, step, step, step. So I'm using alternative legs here to really say go, go, go. So then we have another halt and another little rein back. Don't hollow, stay soft, good boy. And then we go trot, trot, trot. Alternative legs, good boy. Very good. And then again, just as it starts to get good, and we get some real spring in that step, we have to finish. But yeah, long rein, big pats. But it's so important to not overdo that sort of work. It really, really is. So then we just finish with a bit of shoulder in to canter. Nick always likes to start with shoulder in and finish with shoulder in. He thinks it's really important and it's a very classical way of thinking. Shoulder in is the basis of all things good in classical dressage, and it's done well. Shoulder in is just the cure for everything. Yeah, so we did a canter, a walk shoulder in into canter, and then we go for a downwards transition to walk. Good boy, very nice downwards transition. And then we think we change the rein and we do that the other way, and then we finish. And I know it doesn't look like we've done a ton of, you know, super up and sort of competition frame work, but like I say, in these sessions that's not what it's about. It's more about me learning the exercises to get his body to do the right things, and this is how you build a horse's strength and how you build a horse's obedience to the aids. And then, you know, I will have a session like this at home where I do lots of exercises and lateral work, and then I might have a session where I put him in a more of a competition frame. Good boy, shoulder in into canter. He finds this way more difficult, yeah, and that's working a horse correctly and properly, and building strength alongside working on what you want in competition. We're all done. Let's put his tack back. He's a very, very good boy. And Fred slept the entire time. He's just starting to wriggle around now and potentially wake up. So I'm trying to get this in now quickly before he does wake up. Yeah, really, really, really pleased with how he went in that session. Now, obviously, today was a very collection-focused day. They're not all like that, and that's not how I work him every single day, obviously. In the sessions we have with Nick, we start things off and we introduce exercises and really make sure he understands them, and then I can go and put them in my toolkit, and when I'm riding at home, when I'm riding on my own, I can put in some of the exercises that we've worked on today and just sort of introduce them
in bits rather than like today after we do the whole thing, so that we can really make sure that I understand it and he understands it. But he's feeling so much stronger now, so much stronger, which is really, really exciting. And the collection's really starting to come, especially in the canter. He's always had a very good collection in the trot in terms of the slow trot and the piaffe work that you saw us doing. And we just started to introduce that a bit. And as you perhaps heard Nick, or I've perhaps voiced over it, as soon as you start to feel it go well and you start to be like, well, this feels like a really good trot, you have to stop, because that's the point where you can then do too much and overdo it and frazzle their brains. So yeah, it's important knowing when to stop with the collected work. But some days we'll do a session like that, which was mostly canter focused, mostly collection focused. But because you're doing lots of transitions and it's more about the transition than it is the actual pace, they don't get too hot or overworked by it. So you can do quite a bit of it, because you're not asking for prolonged collection or prolonged canter. It's just bits and bobs, because it's a transition that's the most beneficial. And there's some days we'll do days where we do lots of lateral work. Obviously we've done a bit today with the half pass and the shoulder in and the travers work as well. But there'll be some days where we do mostly shoulder in stuff. Well, not just shoulder in, but lateral. We do a lot of work with that travers and renvers, and shoulder in to travers, shoulder in to renvers, all of that stuff. And then we'll have other days where we focus on the trot and the quality of the trot, and using collection and extension in the trot. So hopefully I'll see, Jade's very keen to video a bit more, because obviously she learns loads when she's standing in there filming for me. So hopefully we'll get another one of these and I'll be able to show you something different. But every session is different, and we have them every other week, which is really useful because it means I get 2 weeks to then sort of put into practice the things that we've learned alongside the stuff we do previously, and yeah, build on it, so that when I come back in a couple of weeks, hopefully all of the stuff we've just practiced will be even better, and then we can work on something else. And yeah, it's really exciting to have a horse like Rebel, who has all of his talent and capabilities that we've started from the beginning. So Nick has been teaching me in Rebel since I backed him, and it's just so exciting to feel how all of the correct work he's had has improved him up to this point. I'm so excited to see where he goes, because we haven't started changes yet. That's next on the to-do list. I was waiting till we'd finished eventing, but that's going to be exciting. But yeah, good session, and it doesn't always look pretty. I think I'll probably tell you this in the voiceover, but it's not about the perfect polished product in the session, and it's not about, I don't focus on roundness or having him perfectly in the right competition frame all the time. It's about him working his body, and then eventually the roundness and the softness will come, but he's got to have the strength to do it through his body first. People get so focused on horses being round and on the bit, and a lot of the time all you're doing by focusing on that too much is putting them on their forehand even more. You can't, it has to come from back to front. You can't go from front to back. They've got to push and get the strength to then come soft and in self-carriage, to do it properly and safely and for longevity, because if you do it the other way, they will break. And it might look like we've done a lot of collection stuff today, but all of that little bit of stop-start work and all of the stuff we've done today basically is the building blocks for his strength to be able to do proper, full-on, prolonged collection in the tests he'll have to do in the future. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed, and what a good boy. I'm so pleased I managed to actually get some footage of me doing a dressage lesson, which is rare, but hopefully we'll get a few more, because Jade's very keen to film a few more for me. Hope you have enjoyed, and slightly different video today. Very quick impromptu one, but yeah, hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.